This week's topic is about how to do a hem, and where you don't need to finish it with a tapestry needle, or a casing for a drawstring or the waistband of a skirt. And it's a very easy technique. It does require some setup though. Notice that I've got this crochet chain down here. I've done a provisional cast on where I have a crochet chain, and I've cast on 8 or 9 stitches, don't remember, and I've picked up a stitch in the bump on the back of my crochet chain. And if you've never done this before, I've got a blog entry on it, and it's very easy if you set it up right to, if you've ever used like a crochet chain, to undo it once you take that top knot out. But you have to do it from one end. You cannot undo it from the bottom end. And so if you don't know what a crochet chain looks like V's, like a knit stitch, tie a little knot or something at one end so you know which is which. Now the first step is to undo this crochet chain and put those stitches on this needle. And so I'm going to do that. These are not very sharp needles. Normally I use very sharp needles. And I'm going to undo the first one. And I'm going to put that stitch on the needle. And when you do a provisional cast on with a crochet chain, try and use a smooth yarn. This is a cotton, and it actually is quite splitty. I've had problems with it before, but it's handy. Oh, I hear my poor kitty wheezing. Poor Georgie. Must have a hairball. I don't know if you can pick up on that noise, but it sounds very loud to me. He has an innate sense when he knows I'm making a video. Wants to contribute in some way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This last little guy there is the 8th. And you pull that off, and then we're ready to go. Okay, I've got those. Got 8 stitches. You should have the same number of stitches on each side. Now with a third needle, and this is an awful lot like a 3 needle bind off, and if you've ever done a 3 needle bind off before, you'll know that this is exactly the same as that, but without the bind off part. And hold on, I'm going to pause this. Had to answer the phone. And so I'm going to knit the stitch on the front and the back together. Knit them together. And I tend not to use really slippery needles when I do this, because sometimes the stitches can just slide off. When you're using 3 needles and you're reaching in the back to get it, it's can be a little nitsy. Now notice that this casing is open, and if I were doing the waistband on a skirt, which is what my current project is, and I'll show you that in a second, I would be inserting the elastic at this point, and so that I don't have to insert it later. It's a lot easier to insert it when the casing is not completely closed. You can use this for a hem. You can see that at the bottom of the dress this would work. If you needed a hem, you can use it as the casing for a drawstring on some kind of sweater or at the waistband, or you can use it to insert elastic into the dress. Now that means that you have to work on the waistband first. I'm doing a top-down skirt right now where the waistband was finished beforehand. And I'll grab that and show it to you. This is in progress, so it's not finished yet. It would be an awfully short skirt at this point. And you can see that I have this nice looking waistband here, and on the back, those are markers, don't ignore them. On the back it's very, very smooth. Now you cannot do this successfully, at least on the waistband for a skirt or maybe the top of a sock, if you just do a regular cast on and then whip stitch it. There is no elasticity there, and the whip stitch can actually break, or it can be impossible to put on, and I've learned that the hard way. If you're doing the skirt from the bottom up, what you have to do is leave those stitches live and then graft them in. And believe me, it's a lot easier to knit those 2 stitches together than it is to graft. And so that is how to do a waistband, a hem, or a casing for a drawstring.